Ever wondered why divorces are as common as a cup of coffee in a workday? Hint, it's not what you think. Let's clear the air, shall we? It's easy to point fingers at the demanding careers and the never-ending work hours. You might think that the Wall Street worker who clocks in 10 to 14 hours a day, or the tireless attorney burning the midnight oil for the next court hearing, are the prime candidates for divorce. But hold on, let's not jump to conclusions just yet. Sure, we live in a world where the hustle is real, where accountants and IT professionals are often seen more at their work desks than at their dinner tables. And yes, doctors and surgeons are always on call, which might make their spouses feel as though they're married to a pager rather than a person. But is that the real cause of divorces? Let's dive into some numbers to see if there's a correlation. Only 5% of all marriages make it to the Golden Jubilee. That's right, just 1 in 20 couples get to celebrate their 50th wedding anniversary. On the flip side, a staggering 40 to 50% of first marriages end up in divorce. That's almost half. So the question is, does the blame really lie with our busy lives? Is it really the Wall Street worker or the doctor on call that are the symbols of the divorce epidemic? Or could there be something else, something deeper, lurking beneath the surface of these statistics? As we unravel the misconceptions of divorce causes, you might find that the real culprits are often hiding in plain sight, masquerading as something else entirely. What if I told you that the root cause of most divorces isn't the long work hours or the demanding careers, but something much more personal and subjective? So, it's not just the Wall Street wolves or the night owls in law firms who are caught in the divorce web. Think you're busy? Well, let's dive into the lives of some of our most occupied professionals. Imagine the life of an accountant, a maestro of numbers, juggling balance sheets and income statements. The tick-tock of the clock is their constant companion as they crunch numbers, often working well into the night. Now, picture the tech wizards, our IT folks. They're the unseen heroes who keep our digital world spinning. From troubleshooting network issues to coding software, their work is a never-ending cycle. They're often seen burning the midnight oil, their faces illuminated by the harsh blue glow of computer screens. Let's not forget about our doctors and surgeons, the lifelines of society. They're always on call, ready to jump into action at a moment's notice. Their stethoscopes might as well be a permanent part of their attire, and they're no stranger to the cold, sterile lights of an operating room at 3 in the morning. And then there are the attorneys, the guardians of the law. They work late into the night, engrossed in case files, preparing for the courtroom battles that await them the next day. For them, the phrase work-life balance seems more like a mythical concept than a reality. All these professionals, bound by the common thread of long hours, late-night shifts, and constant stress. Their days are a whirlwind of tasks and deadlines, a relentless race against the clock. They're always on the go, always pushing, always striving. These are the lives of our most occupied professionals. They're the ones who are constantly juggling work and life, trying to balance the scales. Yet they're also the ones who often find themselves on the brink of exhaustion, their personal lives taking a back seat to their professional commitments. So, it seems like everyone is racing against time. But is that the real reason for divorces? Now, prepare to meet the real villains behind the high divorce rates: unrealistic marital expectations. Let's take a detour from the hustle and bustle of the busy life and step into the emotional labyrinth of marriage. Most of us enter this labyrinth with a bag full of expectations, some realistic, some not so much. And it's these unrealistic expectations that often lead to disappointment and eventually divorce. Picture this. You've imagined your spouse to be a superhero, always there to rescue you, to swoop in and fix everything. But alas, when the cape comes off, you realize they're just as human as you are. They can't leap tall buildings in a single bound, and they certainly can't read minds. Then there are those who expect their marriage to be a never-ending romantic movie, filled with candlelit dinners, surprise gifts, and passionate declarations of love. But when reality hits, and the everyday mundane tasks take over, the lack of constant romance can feel like a letdown. And who can forget the expectation of change? Many enter marriage believing they can mold their partner into their ideal version. But the truth is, change is a personal journey. No one can force it, and expecting your spouse to change their habits or personality traits just for you is a recipe for resentment. Last but not least is the expectation of perfect harmony. Yes, marriage is about companionship and shared values, but it's also about differences and disagreements. It's unrealistic to expect to agree on everything all the time. Disagreements are a part of life, and how you navigate them together strengthens the bond. So you see, it's not always the long hours at work or the constant buzzing of the phone that leads to a divorce. Often it's the unmet, unrealistic expectations that create a chasm in a relationship. Remember, a marriage is a partnership, a journey of understanding, compromise, and mutual respect. It's about accepting the other person as they are and working together to build a life that's fulfilling for both. So it's not the long hours at work, but the unrealistic expectations at home that are breaking marriages. Now, let's lighten the mood a bit and look at some of the funnier yet real causes of divorce. Have you ever heard of someone getting divorced because their spouse was too clean? Yes, you heard that right. Too clean. Apparently, an overly neat and tidy home can be a deal breaker. It's like living in a museum where you're afraid to touch anything, let alone live in it. Now, that's a plot twist no one saw coming. Then there's the classic, "My partner doesn't like my favorite TV show." Imagine being so engrossed in the latest season of your beloved series, only to look over and see your partner rolling their eyes or worse, falling asleep. Oh, the horror. Is it really a surprise that such a heinous act could lead to divorce? I mean, who could possibly tolerate such a blatant display of disrespect for their favorite fictional characters? Let's not forget about the couple who divorced over the thermostat setting. Yes, the thermostat. It's a cold, hard fact that not everyone can agree on the perfect room temperature. One likes it toasty warm, the other prefers an Arctic chill, and before you know it, they're signing divorce papers instead of utility bills. And then there's the case of the woman who divorced her husband because he insisted on squeezing the toothpaste tube from the middle. Yes, the middle. Anarchy, right? I mean, who does that? Everyone knows you squeeze from the bottom up. It's basic toothpaste etiquette. These might sound hilarious, but they're real reasons that have led to the end of marriages. It just goes to show that what might seem insignificant to one person can be a monumental deal breaker to another. So, while we laugh at these quirky reasons, let's also remember to respect each other's preferences, no matter how odd they might seem. So, next time you think about marrying someone, make sure they like your favorite TV show. So, what have we learned from our journey into the world of divorces? Well, we've certainly debunked a few myths and misconceptions along the way, haven't we? We started off with the popular belief that divorce is predominantly caused by the hustle and bustle of a busy life. We peeked into the lives of those Wall Street hotshots working 10 to 14 hours a day, and the tireless accountants and IT professionals who seem to be forever glued to their screens. And who could forget the doctors and surgeons, always on call, and the attorneys, burning the midnight oil preparing for court hearings. But as we dug deeper, we found that these hectic work schedules, though they might contribute to stress in a marriage, aren't the primary culprits behind the dissolution of marital bonds. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that spending quality time with your spouse isn't important. It's just that it's not the only factor at play. Instead, we uncovered that the real causes of divorces are often rooted in something much more personal and complex. Unrealistic marital expectations. Yes, that's right. It's not the long hours at work, but the tall orders at home that often lead to the unraveling of a marriage. And let's not forget about our humorous take on divorce causes. Who knew that leaving the toilet seat up or arguing about which way the toilet paper roll should face could be such deal breakers, right? As we laughed our way through these quirky examples, it became clear that it's the small things, the seemingly insignificant details, that can make or break a marriage. So there you have it. The next time someone blames their divorce on their busy work schedule, remember, it's not the long hours at work, but the unrealistic expectations at home that are the real deal breakers.